Welcome back. Fourth and final review of the night. The Minnesota Wild in Vegas against Golden Knights. I think scheduling a game for 8 o'clock at night Pacific is awful for fans in Minnesota. And I do not understand having a game starting at 11 o'clock Eastern, meaning it will run to, at the earliest, 1:30 in the morning Eastern. I don't, and I know people are going to say, oh, that's ESPN, that's the way they want it. But it doesn't make sense. There's no way the ratings for this game are going to be that high, being that late at night, on a weekday. On a weekend, I might understand, but on a weekday, people got to get up, they got to go to work. Anyways, Minnesota and Vegas renewed their series tonight. Gustafsson versus Hill in this one again, of course. Early press by Vegas. The game's hitting starts in the first minute too, although this was not a heavy hitting game. We are going to get to the point in the playoffs soon where the hitting starts to drop off. Players just can't maintain that level of hitting. That's part of the reason why we saw so many injuries coming out of Four Nations. Having 70, 80 hits in a game, it'll wear a team down. Both teams, usually. So the shots are 4-0 for Vegas 2 minutes in. Not an encouraging start for the Minnesota Wild. Theodore has a one-timer that's blocked. Pietrangelo has a shot that's blocked as Vegas is still pressing. And for the most of the first 5 minutes, Minnesota's under siege. That's not the way that it's being told in the press right now. I've heard some people talking about the game and Minnesota dominated the first half of the game. No, they didn't. So Vegas forechecking really effective to this point. Hartman has a rush chance that saved the Wild press after, and this is part of the reason too why I do the reviews the way I do them, is because I do feel like the simplistic view that I hear of games after they're done, to me it doesn't add up. So at any rate, the Wild are starting to get sticks in lanes. They start waking up around the halfway mark of the first period. They start to break up some passes by Vegas and make it so it's not so easy to get into their zone. Eriksson X denied from the doorstep. Boldy has a slot shot that's caught and held. The Wild press at 7 minutes. There's a near miss for Johansson on a rebound. The shots even up. Yeah, the shots get evil. The shots even up as the Wild are improving. Kaprizov fires one wide on a turnover. Vegas presses at 9.5 minutes. The Wild block. And then on a fast break, Boldy puts one through Hill. Kaprizov and Brodin with the assists at 9:56. Minnesota was very dangerous in transition tonight. It was kind of a throwback to hockey 6-7 years ago when the transition plays were usually the most dangerous. The Wild look for another. Carlson then has a tip shot that's held. And then at 11:36, Foligno buries a net feed from the doorstep, the assist to Hartman. So there's a Vegas player right there next to him, but just couldn't get it done. Foligno gets a goal. It's 2-0 in favor of the Minnesota Wild, and that makes the Vegas crowd go a little bit quiet. Wild look for another. Kaprizov has a chance that's held. There's a post for Brodin on a face-off win. Vegas presses with 7 minutes left. Olofsson has a slot shot that's held. Shots are 9-8 for the Wild with 5 minutes left. Considering Vegas had the first 4 shots, that's impressive. Kolasar has a wraparound that saved, and then at 17:15, it's a turnover, and Zuccarello buries one in close. Johansson with the assist. So what happens here is you have a goal on a fast break. You have a goal from the doorstep. Just one assist there. So it's not like the Wild were pressing a lot. And then on this one, it's a turnover and it's in. Very advantageous play by the Minnesota Wild. They're up 3-0 in Vegas. Haig has a shot that's held. There's some pushing, and the Boo Birds were out at the horn. A lot of booing when Vegas went off the ice down 3-0. Second period, Vegas presses are kept to the outside. The Wild press at 2.5 minutes. A net feed to Brazo gets blocked. And then at 3:59, Kaprizov. It's a 2-on-1 rush. Another play like this, and Kaprizov buries one. Boldy with the assist. Hill kind of had it, but then he flopped on his back and he threw it in the net himself. So it's 4-0 for the Minnesota Wild, and that's the second one on a rush or a fast play there. And just one of those things where Vegas coughed up a puck, Minnesota was gone, and that's a big part of the story. Vegas needs to be better with the puck once we get to Game 3. So the Wild press for another. Vegas then gets some pressure at 6 minutes. Pietrangelo has a shot that's blocked. Kolasar can't bury a rebound in close. Bogosian has a net feed that's picked off. Hartman fans on a prime opportunity. Vegas clears. There's a press by the Golden Knights at 9.5 minutes. Then there's a near miss by Saad. The Wild are getting pinned down a bit here. Whitecloud has a shot that deflects out. Boldy has a rush chance, but that's defended. Vegas starts breaking up those rushes. Vegas presses with 8.5 minutes left. And at 12:04, Hannafin wires one from the slot. And if you were watching this and you were not aware of the fact that it's a national broadcast, you would be forgiven for thinking this was a Vegas broadcast, because they pretty much openly celebrated when that puck went in the net, which it's one of those things that's just odd about the broadcasts and the openly rooting for Vegas we've talked about in previous playoffs, and it's back. So Saad has a chance in close that's held. Vegas presses with 6 minutes left. They have some momentum. The shots are 8-3 for Vegas with 5.5 minutes left. Spoiler alert. Minnesota didn't have a shot past, I think it was the 4:09 point of the second period. For the rest of the second anyways. There's a shoulder save on a one-timer by Smith. More pressure by Vegas with 4 minutes left. This is where Gustafsson earns his pay. The Wild get pinned down again. Some failed clears too, and then they ice the puck just to try to get some kind of break. Eriksson to Boldy gets picked off. Vegas rushes. It's 4-1 for Minnesota after 2. Third period, an early press by Vegas. Hartman has a rush chance that's held, and then at 2:26, Hurdle buries a net feed from the doorstep. Pietrangelo and Saad with the assists. Suddenly it's 4-2, and then that graphic starts showing up on the screen about how teams generally don't cough up 4-goal leads in the playoffs. Like, they're just rooting for it. Anyways, Brodin has a rush chance that's blocked. The Wild are making me nervous at this point in the game. So what drives me nuts is when a team gets a puck and they get to center ice and they just kind of dump it in to get a change. And I understand that they might have been tired and they might have needed a change, but you start getting to the point where that's all you're doing and you look like you're trying to kill the clock. We've got this 2-goal lead. We don't need anything else. We can just keep dumping it into their zone, get our line changes done, and we'll be fine. And that makes me nervous because Vegas is very dangerous in third periods. We have known that through this season, last season, season before, really since their inception. So pressed by the Wild at 4.5 minutes. Vegas is blocking. Theodore has a net feed. That's blocked. Haig has a screenshot. That's held. More pressure by the Wild at 6 minutes. Shots are 2 apiece at 7 minutes. And yet the announcers were talking about how Vegas has been dominating ever since it was 4-0 Minnesota. And I was thinking, but the shots are 2-2 in the third. Like, I understand, yes, in the second period, Vegas dominated after that 4-0 goal. But the shots are 2 apiece at this point in the third period. So it seemed odd to me. Roy fires one wide from the slot. Vegas presses at 8 minutes. We get a power play for the Wild. Early clear and then another. The Wild really weren't able to set up on that power play at all. Rossi has a shot that's blocked. It's cleared again. Then a shorthanded rush by Eichel ends it. There wasn't a single shot on net. There were no power plays in this game outside of that one, and that one didn't really look like a power play at all. Good forechecking by Vegas. They're looking to gain momentum in the second half, but this is where the Wild started picking up their game. Wild gets some pressure with 7 minutes left. Stone then has a rush chance that's blocked. Barbashev has a wrister that's held. And then it's pushy and punchy time in this game. Haig, sucker punch. Well, he punches Kaprizov in the face and knocks him down. And it's not a penalty. So what's weird is they asked Dave Jackson, and Jackson's like, yeah, that's a penalty. But it was 2 linesmen that were breaking them up. But aren't we in a league now where a linesman can say to a referee, this guy punched that guy, and you could, and I'm not saying that they should have given the Wild a power play here. You absolutely could have called offsetting and made it 2 minutes of 4-on-4. I was just very surprised that didn't get called. But at any rate, shots are 8-3 for Vegas with 4.5 minutes left. The goalie pull happens with 3:49 left. And at 17:34, Kaprizov hits the empty net. And as the puck's entering the empty net, if you watch on the replay, you can see there's a fan wearing a Vegas jersey behind the net. As the puck's going into the net, he's getting up and heading for the exit. And there was like just a huge amount of people running out. Like, you would think there was a fire. They could not get out fast enough. We've talked about this with Vegas before. I find that odd. Like, I understand, well, the team's losing, so who cares? We don't want to watch the rest. But it just looks odd because I don't see that in other buildings. Not that crazy extent. Maybe part of it is there's only one exit out of that building, so it can kind of be a crunch getting out of there. But it's a 5-2 win for the Minnesota Wild. They've tied this series at 1 going home. So shots on net, 10 apiece in the first. But again, if you listen to people who go, "Oh, Minnesota dominated," no, they didn't. Vegas then outshot them 11-3 in the second and 11-4 in the third. Final shots 32-17 in favor of Vegas. Power plays, Minnesota had the only one. It was nothing to write home about. The hits 36-25 for Minnesota. Gustafsson, big part of the story here. 30 saves on 32 shots. Had a great game. Aiden Hill did not. 12 saves on 16 shots, and I will straight up say it. Hill looked shaky. So Minnesota has a bit of an advantage here, and if they can win Game 3 at home, they might have Vegas second guessing themselves a bit. But that Game 3 is huge in this series, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much to those that watch this when it gets posted, because I know how bloody late it is on the East Coast. So thanks for that, and I will talk to you again soon.